Hi, I'm Wade Chumney. I'm here with my friend and colleague Cynthia Ruiz, and we formed the Consciousness Renaissance YouTube channel that this is appearing on in order to talk about things like this to help make the world a better place. We're both transformational leaders, and today what we're going to talk about is the aspect of technology and its effect on society, the impact it's had, the rate of change leading to AI. So, with that kind of background, Cynthia, do you have any thoughts to start us off on this topic?
Well, we do talk about a renaissance, right? And I truly believe it's a renaissance because technology has become a part of everyone's daily life, if you realize it or not. I mean, technology is, it controls. I think for me, where I really noticed the shift in realizing how much technology impacted my life was during the pandemic
Mm,
because my life became virtual. But there's so many areas of our lives that technology are controlled by technology, or we use technology to doesn't have to control our lives. What are some of the areas in your life that you use technology or that technology impacts you?
yeah, I think that's a very good point. And if I'm going to talk about how it impacts my life, I could talk about kind of how life used to be. You and I were both, young at the time when technology was so different. We didn't have an internet. When I was in college, I didn't have an internet. It was just at the beginning stages of being developed. And that, I mean, that's such a foreign concept. I'm now a professor teaching college kids. And when I say that to them, it's just almost unbelievable. But if you think of that short time frame from when I was sitting in college until today, the changes that have happened in society, the primary driver of all of these changes is technology. It is such a massive influence on everything. Before technology, we didn't change as rapidly as we do. And the realization needs to be that technology affects how we interact in the world. We can give tons of examples of this, just think of going to dinner. When I went to dinner, and when I was in college, we all looked at each other and we all talked. Now you see families with kids, toddlers, other people. People are on their phone, toddlers are on iPads. Like the interaction is completely different. And it is technology that has altered our social skills and how we interact with each other. And that's just one small example. You can take the divisiveness in this country, America, politically speaking, where you've got roughly half the country in one camp and half in the other. Like, okay, what how has that always been the case? Like, no, what's caused that? It's technology. It's the ability to send out messages and to hyper focus on certain fears and divide and conquer and talk about conspiracies and things like this and get people's minds divided. So you realize how impactful technology is, right? It has such a significant influence on our societal structure. It has a significant influence on our family structure. So top to bottom, you can see this unbelievable effect it's had on us. And I think it's just people don't really appreciate the rapid rate of change that things have happened just in the few decades that I've described. What thoughts do you have on things like that, Cynthia?
Well, as you were talking, I had so many thoughts. I mean, simple stuff like back in the day when you wanted money, you'd go to the bank and withdraw money. I don't even know when the last time I was in the bank because I pay all my bills online. If I ever go to the bank, it's going to be to an ATM. But nowadays, we're actually going to like a cashless society. So very rarely do you have to even have money anymore. And when you're talking about being back in college, like I remember I got one of the first cell phones. Like it was this big brick, right? But before that, you answered phones at home. So much in a short period of time has changed. I was even having a conversation with one of my girlfriends last night, and she was talking about her experience with online dating and how online dating is a part of her life now. That you don't people the way people interact, the way people meet people. I mean, just every aspect of your life, entertainment, people play games, even the way we consume our information. We've gone from traditional TV to everybody streaming everything. So technology has really impacted basically every part of our life. What do you think?
Yes, it absolutely has. And the thing about technology that's different from biological systems like me and you and our listeners is that, we evolve slowly over time. Technology has this exponential rate of change that's coming. And, you know, we try to frame things in a positive way in this channel. And so if you look at technology and the internet, which again didn't exist when I was in college, but it does now and existed 10 years ago, then you have at your fingertips all the wisdom traditions of the world. I can go and search anything I want and find out about that and then apply it to my life and better myself. That's available to anyone out there. Now that's not what most people do because you got all these distractions and social media and stuff like this, people that want to grab your attention. Reclaim that and that's something that you can accomplish. But today with AI coming online and again its exponential rate, now that's even more different than that. I don't have to passively go out or actively go out and find that information. I can simply query a high level AI like Claude and talk about wisdom traditions and talk about implementations in my life and how to make it more effective. It's got that full wealth of information of everything that humanity has developed over time, kind of like the human subconscious that's out there that it can draw upon. And then it can share that with you and work with you, kind of like a guru or a teacher to help raise your level of consciousness, to help make you understand things in a better way. This is something again it's available to everyone, but very few people choose to engage AI in this way. So that's the type of the key realization I think with any form of technology, social media, AI, dating apps, what it all comes down to from our perspective is your intention. What intention do you bring to the table when you're engaging with this technology? Because that's going to determine the type of outcome that you get, right? So it's very important to focus on what am I trying to accomplish with this rather than just mindlessly using it or using it the way the norms of society do. You want to have intentional focus about bettering yourself when you use these things. And I think that's something that's amazing that we have that capability of available to us right now. Any thoughts you have, Cynthia?
Well, I embrace technology in so many ways in my life, but I also am resistant to a little bit of it. For example, I'm not into driverless cars quite yet. I haven't had the courage to get in that car and let it drive it, itself without, me in control of it. So I'm not there quite yet. But one
Mhm.
of the things that I was thinking of when you were talking about, because you use AI and having conversations and like a guru, like you and I are both professors. Do you foresee in the near future us being out of work and and people not needing human professors that they can learn everything through AI?
Well, I mean, how do I say this? That's a distinct possibility. Okay. I mean, it's also a distinct possibility for lawyers. It's also a distinct possibility for accountants. Like, this is not something that relates solely to any one domain. Intelligence in every domain, AI has that, and it's going to surpass us very soon if it hasn't already. I mean, AI is smarter than I am right now. I'm not gonna really lie to you guys. I mean, I think I'm a pretty intelligent person. But AI blows me away. I could never do what AI can do right now. And again, with that rapid rate of change that we talk about, exponential, its intelligence is only going to grow more and more quickly. And the biggest issue I see is that we as humans, we don't have the mental capability of really grasping this rate of change and kind of dealing with it. And so, because of that, kind of the key feature that I would say that any of us should have is adaptability. Is the ability to kind of take this new stuff that comes and put it to good use, approach it with a good intention and see what we can get out of it because it's going to change rapidly. Professors may be out of work in 5 years. I don't know. Everyone may be out of work in 5 years. I don't know. But, if that's the case, if jobs are going to start being replaced, and they absolutely will at some level, if they go all the way and replace most all jobs, then the key is you've got all this time. What are you going to do with it, right? How are you going to use that time for your betterment, for your benefit, for the common good? Like that's the point. Again, just like everything else, it goes back to your intention. What do you want to do with your free time? You want to waste it and goof off and play video games all day? Well, that's one way to go about it. Do you want to like self-reflect and think about your life and what you've done and how to make it better and how to improve the lives of others? That's another route to take. But it all goes back to that intention, which is why it's such a vital thing to pay attention to, regardless of where we are in history. What other thoughts do you have, Cynthia?
Well, even though I'm not there with the self-driving vehicles, I do believe that, there's human error, right? So that's why we have so many accidents in Los Angeles. But I believe that eventually, once it's fine-tuned, like air traffic controllers potentially could be out of work because they have radars, they have different things that they can see, and some of the human error would be eliminated. But where I'm still not there in the other arena is like therapist,
Mm.
having a psychologist, a counselor, a therapist, because I don't know if AI has the ability to show compassion, love, the human emotions that are needed when you're dealing with people's emotions. Do you think that that's capable, that AI is possible to be an effective therapist?
I mean, there are some studies out now that say that it can be, that it does work in certain areas. I have the same thoughts you do about, this human touch. And I think, given that's the rapid rate of development and change, the one thing that you hit upon and that I'm reinforcing is the fact that that human touch, like, people still, even if AI takes over everything, if you're thinking of how to position yourself, people are still going to want to see concerts. People are going to want to see human interaction. They're want to don't want going to want to, have that type of engagement. Hopefully, if they don't want the human engagement, well, then it's a whole different world. But
Right.
it seems like a lot of people desire that and seek that out.
Well,
That's why again,
say for
go ahead.
example, if somebody's calling the suicide hotline, they're in that much emotional pain and in
Mm.
crisis, would AI be able to help them if we didn't have human therapists?
Right. I mean, my opinion would be that AI could help them. I don't know if it could help them to the same degree that a human therapist could at this point. But if AI truly is able to pick up all these nuances, understand how we work. I mean, there's some articles now that Meta has developed an AI that can read our thoughts, that it, with electrodes and stuff, it can tell what we're thinking with 80% accuracy. I mean, that's dangerous.
Trouble.
Right.
They can read my thoughts. I am trouble.
That's not good. I'm gonna need like tinfoil hats or something to protect me. But all I'm saying is like the abilities of technology and the rates of change are just they're not comprehensible. It's just not comprehensible what's coming and what's happening. So that's why it's just kind of to be fluid, to be adaptable, to maintain positive intention toward the good. That's the best you can do with the changes that are coming, and then try to take these technological marvels and figure out how do I use them in a positive way, to make the world a better place, to make my life better, and not simply to fulfill, structured requirements that I have to do in life and things like that, but to go to what Plato, would call eudaimonia, human flourishing. Like that's the goal of every human being that's ever existed has wanted to have a good life experience. No one wants a bad life experience. So if that's the truth, we have pathways for how to do that. Wisdom traditions teach us, Native American wisdom traditions, Platonic wisdom traditions, how to live a good life, how to be one with nature, how to treat people the right way. The golden rule. The golden rule shows up in dozens of different religions and wisdom traditions at different points in time in history. Why is that? Because there's something to it. Because they didn't like steal from each other. They independently discovered this law of nature that this is a good way to go through life. So I think that there's a lot there, for us going forward, as long as we stay true to ourselves and have positive intentions, regardless of these rapid rates of change we're going to experience.
Well, see, I was sitting there thinking, like, what makes me different than a machine or a robot? Like, I have the ability as a woman to give birth, and I've had a son. Then I start thinking, well, maybe is that possible for robots to? Can they like artificially inseminate and then have an incubator to for a baby, and then we don't need women anymore? I mean,
Right.
like, well, I don't know where it ends.
Yes. Yeah. And no one does know where it ends. And like, it's just, and usually when you have unknowns, the human reaction is fear. That's what, again, we're trying to alleviate, we're trying to stop. Like, yes, there are unknowns, but if you have the confidence in yourself and, and the positive outlook, then you're not fearful. You're curious. You wonder, like, oh, what's coming? Like, what's this new thing gonna do? What's gonna happen? And you approach it in a different context, a different manner, and you create different things as a result, I think. So it's very important to maintain control of yourself, your system of self, and have that type of approach to things if you want things to create a more ideal future than we have at present.
So I know that there's a lot of fear out there. We talk about this all the time. So from your perspective, if people want to learn more about AI, so kind of demystify all of it, what would you recommend? Where should they go?
I would recommend them. I mean, personally, I like Claude as an AI agent. I've already said this before. As an LLM, it has an ethical constitution. My interactions with it have been truly remarkable. And it just dropped a new model actually, a couple, maybe yesterday even, a higher level, I think Claude 3.7 Sonnet or something like that. That's incredibly powerful and intense and can do, step-by-step decision making. My advice would be to engage with it, to try it out, to not stick your head in the sand and just ask it questions about just simple things to help make your life better. What can start simple and then work toward greater things, but just see what little advice it could give to help you with relationship issues or help you with work issues or whatever else. See what it says because it's got the wealth of human knowledge. It knows everything. It's unbelievable. And then once you feel safe and realize, oh, it can actually make things better if I listen to this, then you can start to work on higher order things like raising your consciousness or things like that once you feel safe with it and realize it's something that can benefit you. So that'd be my advice is to engage with it. Simplest way.
Well, technology is evolving. It's going to continue to evolve. It's here to stay. So my recommendation is get on board and always have good intentions and be ethical.
Amen.
Mhm.
Sounds like a great approach. So thanks so much for talking about this topic. Thanks for joining us, and hope you have a great day. We look forward to seeing you again in the not too distant future. Bye now.